Like passengers in a car that is increasing in speed. Do you sense the momentum of what Jehovah's organization is doing today? Jehovah is accomplishing a tremendous work worldwide, and all in connection with the kingdom preaching work.
This is Jeffrey Winder, the only member of the governing body who hasn't been in the service department, talking about a lie Jehovah's Witnesses are used to hearing, that the religion is growing now more than ever. This kind of growth hasn't really happened since the 90s, when the religion plateaued into pretty much the numbers that they still have today, even after they changed how the numbers are counted multiple times. Back when there was growth, they would show the evidence of growth as a motivational tool for people to donate and work for free for the cult. Nowadays, they still use growth as a motivational tool to get people to do the same, but there is no evidence of this cult growing other than some new buildings they will later sell on and be replaced for new buildings to sell and continue the cycle. And it's that cycle that Jeffrey and his buddies need help with. So much so that this whole speech is about Milhouse here, telling us that we should volunteer to work for free for his cult.
But because so much work is being done, there is a need for more workers to keep up with this work. And in this talk, we're specifically going to talk about the needs at Bethel and in theocratic construction. Well, what is the need? In Bethel, we have a constant need for spiritually qualified men and women who can help carry the load of the ever-increasing and complex work. And there is a particular need for young brothers who can apply to come to Bethel and be trained and in time qualified to serve as overseers or to take the lead in departments such as the service department or public information department, hospital information department, and many others. We need brothers who can, in time, qualify to serve on branch committees. And even in branches where the Bethel family is small, we need young brothers to apply. Because the brothers and sisters who have been carrying the load for years, we love them, but they're getting older. And they have a zeal for the work, but they recognize the need to train others so that Jehovah's work can continue.
Milhouse just admitted they need young men to be groomed into managerial positions inside his cult compound. But what does that mean? Well, I think that for the very first time, we are seeing this cult starting to admit that they are shrinking. They wouldn't be outright admitting that they need volunteers in Bethel if they weren't increasingly struggling to get them. And it's not just volunteers to work in Bethel. If anything, the main thing they're missing are construction workers that they don't have to pay.
And what about theocratic construction? Well, there too, there continues to be a need for spiritually qualified men and women who can help carry the tremendous amount of work that is taking place in facility construction worldwide. And there too, we need spiritually qualified men who can be trained in time to take the lead as trade overseers, to serve as construction committee members, and care for other assignments.
It's telling that he very outrightly says that we need men when construction work is open for men and women. It kind of leads me to believe that they are struggling to find the next generation of men to take over this religion. The new generation, it seems, doesn't want to follow their parents' footsteps into this cult anymore. This is interesting because the more they struggle, the more they'll have to loosen the rules to find fitting replacements. That, if anything, is why this governing body has made for not just the dumbest and most incompetent leaders of this religion, but for the living proof that it's only going to get dumber and more incompetent from here. The governing body has become so desperate to find cult workers that they are literally turning to teenagers and asking them to consider becoming cult workers.
Is there a need? Absolutely. Young ones, especially you young ones in your teens, thinking about how you will use your life, can you get involved in the Bethel work and theocratic construction work? Should you? If you do, what will your life be like? Would you live to regret it? Or is it possible that it would lead to a most fulfilling life in this system of things? Well, to help answer those questions, we invite you to watch the following video, which highlights comments from ones who, when they were young, made the decision to get involved in Bethel work or theocratic construction work. Watching this video could be like looking at your life in fast forward. If you choose the course that these ones chose, how would that turn out for you?
Well, isn't that just outright lies and manipulation? Because I bet the people Milhouse will be showing here would never have anything bad to say about working and living in a cult compound. Because if they did, then they wouldn't have been selected for this piece of propaganda in the first place.
Serving Jehovah as fully as you can is not a matter of just drudgery and sacrifices in this system. It's actually the best way of life we can live right now.
Taste and see that Jehovah is good. That will not fail.
Be constantly active in serving Jehovah. Sometimes it may seem that it's not much fun. Perhaps it may seem boring, but actually, serving Jehovah brings so much joy and many blessings.
Isn't it telling how these guys are outright telling us, hey, it seems super boring and tedious and like you need to sacrifice a lot, but it's worth it because Jehovah or something. Like, even in their recruitment video, they can't help but to admit how terrible working for free for this religion truly is. And with that, Milhouse is about to excitingly tell us how they've loosened the rules yet again to allow the youngest possible teenagers to become cult workers.
Well, young brothers and sisters, we want you to be able to get involved in this exciting work as early as possible. And so, I have an exciting announcement to read. It reads this way. We are pleased to inform you that
the governing body has decided
to reduce the minimum age requirement to enter Bethel service or to assist with theocratic construction projects from 19 to 18 years of age.
Look, this isn't a giant change. They just lowered the age for 1 year. But if anything, the fact that they're loosening the rules as much as possible, even when the change is this small, and still make a big deal about this, really shows you what the motive of the governing body truly is. And if you haven't gotten it yet, Milhouse is about to sum it up and say it out loud for us.
We also see Jehovah's Spirit at work in you young ones, and we want to open up to you the opportunity to enter special forms of service as soon as possible. Reason number 2. Our current and future needs require more young brothers to make themselves available for expanded theocratic service. Why? Proverbs 20:29 says that the glory of young men is their strength. There is a regular need for your help to handle important assignments. And reason number 3. We want you to benefit as soon as possible from additional theocratic training.
The governing body, through their letter and through Milhouse, one of its members, is telling everyone outright that all these changes are so teenagers can work for free for this cult as soon as possible. That's not some kooky conspiracy theory about a cult wanting to get the youngest cult recruits that legally can work for free for them. That's what was literally said outright in the last Jehovah's Witness annual meeting. And if that's what they're willing to admit outright, what are they not saying here? Well, I think the most obvious thing that went unsaid was that this admission by the governing body, along with the lowering of the minimum age for cult volunteers, is the governing body beginning to admit that they are losing members. They would not be lowering the requirements to work for free for this cult if they weren't struggling to fulfill these positions now more than ever. This, to me, is a tacit admission that they are losing members, because this admits that they are struggling to even maintain the amount of workers that they already need. They are shrinking, and these are the very first few signs of it. But it goes deeper than that, because the governing body's solution to this problem is a chilling one. Solve it by grooming teenagers as young as possible into those positions. The leaders know at some level that the younger you volunteer, the easier it'll be for them to manipulate you and mold you into whatever person they need for this cult. And Milhouse wants you to know that the fact that he's asking directly for men and not for women isn't because he's misogynistic or anything. It's because the structure of the religion is misogynist. So they would just be pretty much useless, women. What are they going to do?
Some of you, especially you sisters, might have noticed that some of our comments were weighted more toward encouraging the young brothers to apply. And the reason for that is because of the need that we have for these brothers to take the lead and direct the work as they grow and receive training. But we would be amiss if we did not acknowledge the hard work and self-sacrifice of the young sisters in the organization. The fact is, you're doing it. You're there. You are with us at Bethel. You are fully involved in theocratic construction around the world, many of you courageously accepting foreign assignments. And we truly love you for your example and your life of self-sacrifice.
Yay! Let's clap for women who are already doing whatever and won't be invited into this amazing Bethel service. But also, are you a parent of a teenager who feels like he is too young to be shipped out to live in a cult compound? Well, if you don't want to ship your son to a cult compound, you are being selfish and you need to stop it.
And now a word to the parents. We know that you parents, you love your children and you want the very best future possible for your young ones. And so we encourage you, set goals of full-time service in front of your children and help them to achieve these goals. And will you miss them if they should be called to Bethel or they go off on a Kingdom Hall assignment somewhere? Of course you will.
But it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But don't hold them back and insist that they stay home with you for fear of missing them. You may be depriving them of the most fulfilling life.
How dare you deprive your children of the most fulfilling life by not letting them work for free and live at a cult compound just so the cult can make a little bit more money and can exist for a little bit longer? Seriously, how is it that when things go right inside this religion, it's always the hand of Jehovah, but when they're struggling, it's always something else? Can't they take Jehovah's hint? But that's all for now. I'll be breaking down the annual meeting moment by moment with this and other future videos, so subscribe if you don't want to miss out and join my Patreons and YouTube supporters if you want to watch these as soon as they are ready.